The Black Cat Lounge is sponsored by Paranormal Oddities, the little store with the big heart, Para Niagara at the Western Block, one of the top-rated haunted destinations in Western New York, Dragonfly Art and Soul, metaphysical goods and classes, Mystery Control, your go-to feed for science, magic, true crime, paranormal, and much, much more. Hey everybody, Tim Shaw here with a rather, raspy voice. Why? Because yours truly did a little bit of gabbing this weekend at the Parapsychon in Mansfield, Ohio, at the Mansfield Reformatory, where, of course, they did go and film the famous movie Shawshank Redemption. It was an amazing time. Great people, a lot of fun. It was just so much fun. And yours truly, well, I'm a kind of a shy flower. I'm a little bit of a shy flower. I try to, I kind of like, you have to coax me to really speak. And this weekend, I don't think you had to coax me much, because we really went and we were talking so much, and there's so many great people there. And I got a chance to do gallery in the prison chapel, which was a lot of fun. I got a chance to knock out people with Mardi Gras beads. So what better way can you have a weekend? But you know what? I'll tell you what is only one good thing that we can top that unbelievable weekend with. What is it, you say? Everybody say, what is it? What is it? Oh, did you hear that? EVP. We have, and again, my throat is a little shot here, so I have a cough drop in there. But we have an unbelievable guest tonight. He is a true man of the world. He is, oh my God, he's a motivational speaker, paranormal guy. We just like throw that in there. Paranormal guy. You've seen him on Ghost Hunters. You've seen him on Ghost Hunters International. You've seen him across the world. People want to be him. He has got the most beautiful hair anywhere. But the number one thing that this gentleman is known for. Are you ready for this? Dun, 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 dun. Getting delayed and bumped off of flights. And we're going to talk about how he survives that. That is amazing what he does. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's bring out one of, you know what I got to say, one of my dearest friends in this whole crazy thing that we do. Someone who I look up to. He is a little taller than me, I think, but I look up to him. Well, you know why he's taller than me? Because he's got hair. Anyway, let's bring him on. Dustin Pari. Mr. Dustin Pari, man about town.
I'm a man about something. I'm not really sure what, but we're doing our best, Mr. Short. How are you tonight? Besides a little bit raspy there. That's okay.
I'm just a tad raspy tonight, yeah. But I'm doing really fine. And anytime I get a chance to see one of my best buddies in the entire world, even though it's just like in passing or whatever.
We were busy, but we got a little time to talk here and there.
Yeah, we did. And after the investigation, he moved all of his snacks off of the passenger seat so that he could drive me back to our hotel. Now, that is what I call the true measure of a man.
Well, it's it consisted mostly of ghost drinks and the bag of the Lucky Charms marshmallows, which really was amazing. I ate so much of that this weekend, just bags of them. That was something I always wanted as a kid. I always loved cereal, and I feel like the Lucky Charms cereal I love the marshmallows, but the cereal itself always reminded me of cat food. And I always thought as a kid, man, why don't they just sell the damn marshmallows? And then when I went to Target that first morning over there next to the hotel, I was like, oh my God, they just sell the marshmallows, limited edition. I bought a couple of bags for myself. I bought a bag for Miss Heather Taddy, our mutual friend. And man, I was standing there at Parapsychon, one of my favorite events to do. I was just sitting there eating my marshmallows, meeting the people, greeting, dancing, singing. I was having a hell of a time, you know. Tim Shores, so get a drink on your show. Does StreamYard have rules against this?
No. We listen. You go and you enjoy.
All right.
And
Drink
really, we have
responsibly.
rules. Wait a minute. First of all, rules on the Black Cat Lounge. There are rules. Goddamn the rules! I tell you right now.
This is where the elite meet.
Next to the dumpster transfer station, baby.
Yes,
You got
sir.
it. Hey, I gotta ask you, man. You know, I know you're one of the most busiest people in this industry.
Thankfully so. Thankfully.
And it's a blessing. I mean, you know, a
It is.
lot of people. I'm going to be honest with you. Even on my good days, back yonder, and I would say just after disco, not during disco, but just after disco, Dustin. I
Yeah.
don't think I could keep up with your hectic schedule. You have a real. I will just put in quotation marks. You have a real job in the real world,
Yeah. Yeah.
and which I think sometimes gets in the way of what we do. But I
Yeah.
mean, Dustin, how many events did you do last year?
I think we topped out at. Oh wait, last year we had the tour. I think we were somewhere around 70, give or take. Somewhere
Dear
around there,
God.
or maybe 65. I don't know, but yeah, we were up there. We were up there, man. We just keep rolling. You know, I'm thankful to have the opportunity. I truly am. Like, you know, man, I'm glad I got the day job. I always tell people, like, you know, you got to do something to keep the lights on, and I like mozzarella sticks, so I need to make sure I stay fed. So I don't. I work in healthcare by day, and I like my job. I love the people I work with. It's really nice. I like doing anesthesia because I feel like you're bringing comfort to people that are nervous, you know. So I like that. But my heart really, really sings to do the motivational work. And I've really been able to combine that with the spirituality of the paranormal. And just this week at Parapsychon, man, I got to do a lecture about shadow figures. But it was more about, I mean, I did the classifications of shadow figures as best we know.
Right.
I hit the highlights of my interactions with them, but I really made it more a story about dark versus light and what we train our brain to see in this life, you know, and try to motivate people to look for the positive, to look for the sunny spots in this life, because it's difficult. And so I'm so thankful that at most of these weekends, you know, I get to go out to these conventions, I get to go out and meet new people and share a little bit of my time with them. And it means so much to me that people want to share their time with me, and places like the good people at Parapsychon continue to bring me back there. It's just a blessing, man, and it's never lost upon me that these people are spending, you know, their money that they've traded their time to get to come to these events, and then they come and they spend their time with us. You know, that chapel at OSR is so beautiful. It's one of my
Isn't
favorite
it?
places.
Isn't it?
Within the building, I think it might be my favorite place, and to be able to do a lecture there, as you get to do your readings there, like it's just a very special spot, and it means a lot. And I don't know, man. I guess I'm getting older, Timmy. Like, I know I'm getting some gray up here, but I get emotional now when I'm at these things. I get emotional because I think about how much it means to me to have this opportunity to keep.
Isn't it? To me,
really,
you know, Dust, I have to agree with you, because it's like humbling to me. You know, and early on when they'd bring me in for different things, it was sort of a job and it was kind of flat. But I'd say the last couple of years, the wonderful people that I've met, not just celebrities, because we know not all
Yeah.
celebrities are wonderful people,
Yeah.
but no names
names.
here,
Nope.
but so many wonderful people. And I'll tell you what, the organizers, Parapsychon,
Yeah.
Greg and
Right.
Kathy are just, I love the
Great
two of them
people.
to death. I love them.
The
But
volunteers are amazing.
it's just amazing, top notch. I've never between Sault Ste. Marie,
Mhm.
the old Sault Ste. Marie event, and Parapsychon, it's family. It's beyond family. And the people that come in, they're just so warm. They're so loving. They're so giving of their time.
Mhm.
They're enthusiastic. And what I love about it is the fact that they all have stories. They come in, they're sharing the stories. And that's what they were there for. And I think I learned as much from all the people that come in as, to hanging out with celebrities.
Celebrities.
Celebrities right here. Celebrities.
No,
We got the alphabet here. A, B.
no.
those are the classifications, Dustin.
Tim, I'll tell you, I want to share this with everybody. A friend of yours this weekend not only spent a very great deal of money to support the auction and donate money toward the restoration of the facility there in purchasing one of the autographed spirit boards that you had. But I was just talking with this gentleman, off to the side, and I told him, all these years I've known Tim. I'm like, I don't have a Tim Shaw spirit board. I was like, I got to get one of those at some point. And he came to your booth. I know you know this. He came to your booth the next day and picked one up and had you sign it and brought it over to me. And I brought it over to Zaffis. So I have your signature on one peak of it and Johnny's on the other. I don't want anybody else to sign it, man, because the two of you are two of the people. I have learned so much from the two of you in this field, and it's such an honor to know you both and to work with you both. And that spirit board is now a prized possession of mine. I'm going to find a place to put it up in here. I have it downstairs right now on one of the bookcases there to freak out my daughter's friends when they come over. But I'm going to put it up here because it really means a lot to me, man. Like I've learned so much. You've shared a lot with me about seance and about spirit communication. And I've learned so much from you guys, and I really appreciate it.
You know what's so funny is originally they asked to bring an object or an item that you wouldn't have on your table for the VIP auction. Yeah. So I was all set. I had a piece of the Hinsdale House clapboard, and I was all set to put that out there. I said, I'll get a couple bucks, I got it in my collection. It's an extra piece.
Yeah.
And when we were changing cars over, packing up, I left it in the other car. So I was brokenhearted. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then I thought, what I like to do is I like to always have, and Dustin, you know me, I've got 1,001 boards.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go and just say, I'll have it autographed. It was my fallback plan,
Right.
I couldn't believe it. A bidding war. Ladies and gentlemen, $775 it went for. And I said to the guy that bought it, I said, listen, come to my table tomorrow. I have other boards here, and I want to give you a good board. I said, one from the late 70s. It's not worth a lot, but it's worth over $100. And I said, I'll let you have it. And he's like, you will? I said, absolutely. So he came back the next day. And he got himself a good deal, Dustin, because it was a Parker Brothers box, but it was a fold board, Ouija board, one of the last the last runs down in Baltimore from the Fold Factory where they originally made.
Yeah.
And he was just so happy, and I was thrilled he was happy. And then he goes, "Is that other board for sale?" I said, "Well, I was going to have it autographed, and then I was going to raffle it off." He goes, "Well, I was talking to Dustin."
Yeah.
I said, give me $10. It's yours. Autographed it. And he ran away. He was so happy. And you know what?
Meant a lot, man.
And I think the bottom line, and you and I have this exact same philosophy. You got to give back a little bit. You got to make things a little bit better than when you were first there.
That's what we try to do.
And that's exactly what the bottom line is. Now, Dustin, you had a little bit of trouble. I'm gonna have to look to see if I can find this picture. I do. You had a little bit of a trouble. You were supposed to get into Pittsburgh. You ended up in Philly. You drove all the way from Philly to Mansfield, and this is your co-pilot. This is a photo, everybody, of Dustin's co-pilot.
My man Tato.
There you go, right there, Tato. With Lucky Charms, Ghost. This is how Dustin survives.
This is how we get around. This is I just picked up my main man Tato there. He's the mascot for a potato chip company out in the UK there. And I was just in Ireland completing a tour there. Yes. And I was, you travel a lot, and I'm thankful again to have seen so many places. I've been to like 27 countries, and I go to place, and I'm like, man, I haven't been back to Ireland in years. I was happy to be there, and I'm looking around thinking, the hell should I buy myself for like a little keepsake, you know? And
Right.
I picked up like another little bracelet. I'm always known for my bracelets, and a couple of wonderful people on the tour, including Maria, the tour promoter, bought me some Irish bracelets. And I'm looking around these T-shirts. I'm like, it just doesn't seem, you know, I got so many T-shirts. And then I come around the corner in this oddity shop, and there's Tato just shining like a diamond in the back of the store there. And one of my friends that was with me, she's like, look, it's Tato. I'm like, that's my man, you know. And so I went and picked him up, and everyone took pictures with him around Ireland. And now he's back here causing trouble with my other little miscreants, Mr. Herman and Fernando.
I was going to ask you, is there a little bit of jealous between Tato and Mr. Herman?
Is there a little bit of
jealous? I think there would be.
There's a little bit of anger. Well, because you see, and this was funny. I was just talking to somebody about this out there too. I've noticed, if anybody's unfamiliar with my Instagram nonsense and TikTok, I've got this doll, Mr. Herman. He looks like Pee Wee Herman. People think he's haunted, but I get him at iParty. There's like 30 of them on a shelf. But he's with me a lot. And then I've got this shark puppet, Fernando the Italian shark. He's a bit of a lover. But I realized, like, Mr. Herman, who, by the way, does more cameo videos than I do, he's always kind of angry and pissed off about things, where Fernando is always very excited and jubilant and loving about things. And I've noticed in my brain, when somebody's cut me off in traffic, I hear the Mr. Herman voice. And when I sit down to eat a nice thing of mozzarella sticks with fresh warm marinara, I hear the Fernando voice. So it's like two parts of my personality that are coming out. It's a strange world.
I think there's medication for that, Dustin, but
I'm not
don't take it.
I'm not taking it.
It works good. It's working good for you. Hey, yeah. Ireland, for those of you who don't remember this, I remember way back many moons ago when you were on Ghost Hunters and you guys went to Ireland and you got ran into where you had something go right through you. I remember that distinctly because, I mean, I've had, not to that extent, but I've had stuff like that happen. Now, did you revisit that place? That
we did. That was Lep Castle, owned by Mr. Sean Ryan, who's an amazing man, great storyteller. So that happened. It was still on Ghost Hunters, like you said. It was kind of the unofficial trial for Ghost Hunters International. Like, can we actually do this overseas? And we investigated there 2 nights at that time. And the first night I was upstairs in the Bloody Chapel with my good friend Dave, and something like you said, it's funny because they were filming, but they were filming cutaway shots, so they didn't actually have video of when it happened to me. So they had to cut to my camera, which was still rolling, and splice it with video of me walking previously. But Tango and I were shoulder to shoulder. Something lifted me up. He saw my feet come off the ground, and I just got leveled. And I went outside. I got my head together, went back in. Nothing happened. Next night, nothing happened. And that was it. I never got to go back there. And it's always kind of been in my head. But it was an important place for me because it was a pivotal moment. Because at that point, I realized I needed to take a more respectful approach to what we do, you know. And
right.
So I go out there with this Mysterious Adventures tours, great group. I really enjoyed it. And we go back to Lep Castle. And I went up there by myself before everybody got there. And I just kind of wanted to say my piece, reintroduce myself. And because Chris Fleming called me from there when he was filming for the Haunted Ireland show. I was at the gym. And I get a phone call from Fleming. I'm like, hey, man, what's up? He's like, I'm standing in the chapel at Lep Castle. I need to know where you were when you got knocked out. It was so random. But as he gets off the phone with me, this made it into his show. As he gets off the phone with me, he's talking to his producer about it. And you hear this weird, it sounds like a rattlesnake from right behind him. And there's no snakes in Ireland, definitely not a rattlesnake up there. So there is like this trickster type spirit there. And so I just wanted to go back there and just kind of like say my piece, say thank you for teaching me this lesson. I'll tell you what, man, I'm always looking for signs and things. And we had a great investigation between the ghost box thing and the Flux 2 going off. Great communication session that was verifiable, password protected, all that stuff. And when everybody was done and we were about to leave the castle, I said, I just need one last moment up there by myself. And
Good.
as I'm up there, I'm saying my goodbyes and my goodnights, and always, I'm always thankful now. Just like you said, I'm more thoughtful. I always tell people, no matter where you are in this life, make sure you always take one last look at where you are before you leave, because you may never get back to that place again. And
Exactly. People don't get that.
right, especially when you're at a place that's very special, very magical. Like this might be your only time. And so I turn and I'm saying my goodbyes or my goodnights, and there was this crow that had flown into the chapel,
Wow.
and he slowly circles around and comes down to like eye level, and then he just stops and he slides right back out the window. And I was like, that was my perfect goodbye moment. I was like, this is exactly what I needed here. It was just very cool.
Synchronicity. When
Yes,
it
sir.
happens, it happens. It happens. You know
Yep.
that. Our guest tonight is a man that needs absolutely no introduction, because why? He has beautiful hair. He has just got the most beautiful hair anywhere. That's all I'm going to say. We're going to leave it.
It's getting a lot of gray in there these days.
Hey, listen. You know what? Zaffis and I were talking about how long we've known each other.
Yeah.
And if we first thought it was 25 years, then he said Ed Warren, his uncle, has been gone 25 years. He goes, so it's got to be at least 4 to 5 years before that. So I looked at him and I said, that's almost 30 years. He goes, yeah, you know how it is, Shaw. And I said, but Johnny, I remember when your beard had color in it. He goes, yeah, I remember you had probably hair. So shut up, Johnny. But, did you do any like old school stuff when you were in Ireland? Because I was interested to find out if you did, because of the fact that it's so old, and it's and the Celtic, that whole Celtic druid vibe that's there, just seems like it oozes out of the ground.
So funny you should mention that, but not funny at all, because after all, psychic. Couple of things. We definitely did some like not table tipping, but like table tapping, seance.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. What happened?
So we did get some taps in response in one of the castles that we were at.
Wow.
That was over in Charleville. So we did get that. There's this octagon table in this one room, really, really cool. It was like the ladies' sitting room type thing. So we did get some tapping in there. And for me, the most important thing, man, we went out to the Hill of Tara on the, what was the feast? Come on, brain. Recent pagan feast that they had, fire.
Beltane?
Beltane, yes. We were out on the Hill of Tara.
Not that I would know these things, Dustin, but
We're out on the Hill of Tara on Beltane, and we have a local high priest practitioner there.
Wow.
And we all took off our shoes and walked up to the top of the hill, and we sat around a fire. We did a cord cutting ceremony, and we did everything with the ashes and the offerings. It was so special, so magical. We went over to the fairy mounds, and I encourage everybody there too. Like, take off your shoes, like feel the energy of the earth, like just on a scientific level. If you're not into the woo-woo shit, like just on a scientific level, we are constantly insulated from the energy of the earth, because we're always wearing shoes. Think about when you were a little kid. Like, I know you know this, Shaw, but for our viewers here, like, think about being a little kid. You were always barefoot and happy, running around outside. The sun was still yellow. You're drinking out of hoses in people's yards. It was freaking awesome. And now we wear sneakers, we wear shoes all the time. We're insulated from the energy exchange down into the earth. If anything, if you're barefoot, it's usually in the house. So you don't have the opportunity to really ground yourself in the soil. And when we were up on these fairy mounds, I was like, man, take your shoes off. Walk on top of these fairy mounds. Stay here for a little while. Just be thoughtful. Be quiet. Don't overthink anything. And it was so cool, man. I think a lot of people really resonated with that. And I've been doing a lot of that stuff at my Spirit Quest events lately, like here in the States. I've been doing a lot of things with grounding and energy work and old school communication, because it's just everything we need is in here. We don't need all the blinking lights and bullshit to communicate with the other side, But I know people like that, because it's scientific, because it lights up.
Is it scientific? Is it scientific? Exactly. It's more pseudoscience on that.
Exactly. By far it is, because you can't replicate these experiments. We don't know exactly what we're doing, but
exactly.
I think, myself, I know you've been here for a long time, but for me, I'm not at the point where I need to verify anything anymore, unless I'm doing a case for a homeowner or something that needs answers. I'm just there to communicate with spirit, to be close to spirit. And for me, doing things like walking barefoot on sacred areas, or just going outside, grounding myself, it just brings about such a wonderful sense of peace and understanding. And there's this great photo this young lady from the New Jersey paranormal group took. We were up on some hillside. Oh my God, this amazing place. If anyone goes to Ireland, visit Pat Noon's Fairy Farm. Pat Noon's Fairy Farm is one of the most magical, crazy places I've ever been in my life. This old man, he's so sweet. He doesn't do anything in terms of planting or anything. He just turns over the soil and he lets nature take its course there. He's got this wonderful sacred tree area. He's got all these animals. And we're out there walking around, and I wanted to go up on this little hillside. It's just kind of a moment for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the 24, 25 people in our group are down below, and Pat goes to open the gate to where they're going to go next, And as he does so, these 3 horses come thundering through the crowd, and people are moving out of their way, and the horses come up to me on the hillside, and I put my arms up, and they just slowed down and circled me. It was like something out of a movie. I'm like, where am I living? So crazy. So crazy. I loved it.
Amazing.
It really was great, man.
Amazing. Well, let's face it. You have one of the most positive auras that I've ever encountered. And and I don't ever tell you that stuff because I like, when we get together, I kind of keep the woo-woo stuff at a minimal, because we're usually too busy giggling about some nonsense.
Sure. For sure.
But you really have that about you. And I remember when I first met you in an airport, of course.
Detroit Airport. Yeah.
Detroit Airport. Yeah. We were both working for Ideal Management. We're repping, or they were repping us. And I always remember that, wow, this guy is like a genuine article. And we spoke all that has got to be the most scariest.
The little plane up to the Sioux.
Oh my God, going up to Sault Ste. Marie. And I swear that that poor waitress was like, or the waitress, I'm sorry, that the poor flight attendant, she was like, who the F are these two? And we're getting into this deep philosophical, the first time I met this guy, this deep philosophical, religious, spiritual conversation. And like we get off the plane and I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, what was that? That's the first time I always remember that. The first time I met you. And at that point I said, you're the real deal.
No, and I appreciate that, brother. A little bit of magic between us, And
that
that's
was honestly,
like, that means a lot to me too, because that was at a time when I was mostly just known for the show, and the show, as much as I love being a part of it, I'm so thankful for the opportunity that everybody gave me there. It was under the pseudo-scientific approach, of debunking, which is so important. Like, you should always question things and debunk things. Like,
agreed.
I'm still on board with that. Like, Chris Williams and I do this rebellious spirit stuff because we're tired of all the bullshit that everyone believes anything that they're told and they don't question it,
Yep.
But at that time when we first met, like, only people only knew me from what they saw in the show, so it was more my comical side, or, love me or hate me because of my little visors and stuff. But it was nothing about my spirituality and the things that I'm really connected to and care about. And that now is, over these years and being able to do so many presentations and meet so many people, I've been able to put so much more of that out there, which is just so very important to me, and that's really what I'm all about still.
You know what I found amazing? And I'm going to ask you a question. Did you find it hard to do that gradual changeover? Or do you think that people, and I know the answer to this, because people automatically love you for some, whatever reason, outside of your hair, I just love you for your hair. But was it a difficult transition going from TV guy to motivational speaker to spiritual guy to someone who really comes across as your true self, as a caring human being?
Well, I think it was pretty easy for me to do so because I've never pretended to be anything other than myself. I'm a little bit screwy. I'm definitely goofy. I joke around a lot. But when it comes to the spiritual side of things, I think people understand as they've got to know me better that that's just my path. That's my way, raising the vibration, the energy around me. And that's my way of kind of being able to communicate and stay in a good in a good space, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I think it maybe took some people a little time to wrap their head around it, what I'm really about and everything. But for the most part, I think, everyone has kind of greeted me with open arms, for it. And I appreciate it. The amount of people that come to my table, Tim, at these events and talk to me about ghost hunters versus the amount that come to me and talk about mental health, suicide awareness,
Right.
something that I wrote back and forth to them on Twitter, or just telling me what they're going through in their life. It's probably like 90% in favor of that and 10% in terms of stuff they saw me do on TV,
Isn't that amazing? That is
yeah.
so amazing.
And I'm thankful for it. I mean, you dance with who brought you. I'll talk ghost hunters and cases and stuff all day, but it means a lot when there's more of that personal, spiritual connection between myself.
I love that. I love being able to go and just say to people, this is who we are. This is who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You see me walking through blindfolded, going into a house and doing a house read.
Yeah.
That is like a drop in the bucket. That's that's just a drop in the bucket of who I am and what we do. And I just love the fact when people come up and ask, well, what about A, B, and C, D? What can we do this? What can we do that?
Yeah.
And it's, to sit down and be able to talk with them on a human base, human one-to-one basis, face to face, is precious. It's precious. And to me, that's what it should all be about. But
absolutely,
you have taken that rough diamond, and you have taken your little file, and you have polished all these facets to a point where they're glowing. And
I don't know about that.
It's the motivational thing that I heard you. Everybody, if you guys ever get a chance to listen to this gentleman, boy, I just called you a gentleman. I think I called you other things this weekend, but anyway,
lots of other things.
Lots of other things. But if you ever get a chance to listen to him, I got a chance to hear him talk, and I was like, I think I was blown away. My wife was blown away. People that I know who are kind of jaded, not mentioning names, no names, Dustin, but people who are kind of jaded were like, wow, he really is he's making a lot of sense.
I'll tell you what, Tim, I get up there, and some of the best presentations, in my opinion, that I've been able to give, I get up there, man, and I have, I have a very limited like PowerPoint slide thing, because I always feel like if I'm asking you to come sit with me, just
come see me.
Yeah, come see me. I'm not going to read something to you, so they're just kind of jumping off points. But I kind of feel like I end up saying like something totally off script. There's been days, just like honestly at Paris Icon, I just feel like something takes over. Like other words are coming through me, and when I'm done, I'm just like, I have no idea what just happened. I felt a lot of energy. It was like I was just kind of a vessel to be here.
But that's back in the old days, and I'm just going to go and preface that spiritual old days.
Yeah,
they had inspirational speaking, and that's what it was all about. Where they used to go, and of course they would say that it would be highbrow stuff, philosophical stuff, and all this other crazy stuff. But to me, true inspirational speaking will go and just encompass true emotions and being able to go and bring that through. And every and sometimes when you go to lectures, no names, some people have the exact same lecture every year or every event or whatever. And I've always strove not to be like that. And I see, when I've seen you speak, you've never had the same lecture twice. And that is, it could be the same subject, but you broach it in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And I think not only are you adept at reading the crowd, but you may have a little tiny bit of that mediumship thing in you. And wait a minute, the reason I'm saying this is because the only difference between everybody else and mediums is mediums just go and pay attention a little bit more than everybody else. That's all. Yeah. So whatever is coming through, and I know exactly what it's like. It comes here and it just like pablums out.
Yeah.
And it's the right thing to say. And every time you've been phenomenal at it, just phenomenal at it.
I'm very blessed, and I'm very thankful for the opportunities to be up there and the gifts to be able to do so. I started this, I had my little YouTube series I did for a while there, the Hey Got a Minute ones, which
Right.
I still
That
have,
was great.
I still have another season that's fully unedited, but that's because our boy Cody fell in love. So they're all
Well, hey,
sitting on a hard drive at his house,
hey,
But
hey, listen,
I
it
have a,
happens. Listen, it happens to
yeah,
all of us.
yeah, it's all Twitter page, it's okay. But so there's a whole nother season there, and I'm thinking, well, in the meantime, what do I do? So this year I started doing this coming at you live thing I do every night. I post on all my social media things and just another little minute video. And I was talking to somebody about it this weekend, like, how do you know what to come up with? Like, a lot of times the things that you post, it's like exactly what I was thinking. And I told him, well, I really think the secret is 9 times out of 10, I'm talking to myself in these videos. I'm helping myself through some shit right now.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I feel like if I'm feeling it, somebody else has probably felt this way before, or maybe feels it
Yep.
now, or maybe I'm feeling it because other people are. So I'm just like, well, I guess we'll talk about this tonight. Like, whatever it is.
Exactly. Peg, a good friend of ours, Peg Herman, wants to know, Dustin, how on earth do you prevent burnout at the pace that you go?
I honestly, I was just talking to somebody about this today too. Like, I don't know. I mean, I get up early, I go to work, I get out of work, I hit the gym for like an hour or 2 hours, usually if I can. Come back here, dinner with the family, like a walk around the neighborhood. And then I sit up at night, like working on graphics, trying to promote events, coming up with new lectures, new ideas, emailing libraries. I sleep about 4 hours a night, usually, maybe 6 if I'm lucky. And I don't know. I haven't had a day off right now, I think in 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, because I was in Kansas, I was in Ireland, and then this week in Ohio. And this weekend, I mean, it's local because I'm in New England, but I'm working with Old Man Zaffis Saturday night. So yeah, there's really like no time off, like maybe one day every 3 to 4 months. And those days I can't rest, man. Like there's a ton of stuff I got to do. And I just feel like I don't know how much time I'm going to have to do it in, and somehow I feel some of it might be important. So I just keep going.
It's amazing because when I was a bit younger, in my 50s, that's just like so sick to be able to say that. Back when I was in my 50s, I mean, I could keep up a decent pace.
Yeah.
Now, I can't do it, and I tried so hard.
Well, don't you sell yourself short. I saw you at the airport, and I couldn't keep up with your physical pace when you were trying to make that flight in LaGuardia.
No,
you were flying, baby.
Hey, listen. I do have some hidden talents that I do keep from all my friends.
Yeah,
running fast for flights.
Right.
Even though I missed it, running fast for flights is one of my superpowers.
Yeah, it was great. It was like Olympic speed walking or something. The way you were moving, it was amazing.
I could have ran, but that knee was swollen, so I didn't want to push.
No, you got to go easy.
Didn't want to push the knee. Thus, you know what? You hit upon your nightlies. I love them because you know what? It's probably one of the nicest things that, like, before I go to sleep, it lulls me to sleep. I'll just go like this. I cuddle up to my Dustin doll, my little Dustin doll. I have to watch it so I don't poke my eye out because it's got sharp hair, and I'll cuddle up and I listen to your nightlies. But I think it was yesterday or the day before, you hit one right out of the ballpark. Who writes our narrative?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was last night. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I went and I just sat there and I listened to it twice and thought to myself, I've been preaching that for years because so many people, and not just in our hobby.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say hobby, our field, because it's a little bit more than a hobby. But it's not just in our field. It's everything. And people often let others dictate their lives.
Yeah.
And I always say to them, who wrote the book of rules? Who book of your life? Who wrote those rules? And dude, it was like amazing because it was like something that I feel so strongly about. What brought that on? And what does it mean to you to create your own narrative?
As far as what brought it on, I was just driving to work, and sometimes my mind kind of wanders to random thoughts and stuff. And I was just thinking about some of the things I've been seeing online lately that certain people are going through, no names mentioned. And a lot of times I see people constantly trying to defend themselves or try to prove themselves to others, or try to validate themselves. And I just feel like, it's, as so many of my videos come down to, it comes down to perspective, and at some point you got to think, in the book of your life, you know, perspective is everything. If you're going to write it, you need to write it from your terms, your perspective, not
Exactly.
based on what other
Exactly.
people are.
Exactly, my friend.
Because no one knows what you really go through or what you feel or what you do when doors are closed. And like one of the important parts I put in there was, you talk to so many people, and how many of them are, the hero of their story, or they're the victim of their story. But very few times, unless you're talking to someone maybe who's lived a little bit longer, or maybe has been around the block a couple of times,
No,
it's hard to.
you wouldn't be like referencing someone who might be like sitting next to you virtually, ixnay on the namesay.
May maybe you need to go through some things in this life to realize that sometimes we're the villains in our life too, and
Exactly.
we're the villains in other people's stories maybe, but maybe there's some truth to that and we have trouble admitting that to ourselves. But I think it's important to know that there's, like as I mentioned, there's some chapters of the book of your life that you don't read to anybody else out loud, and that's okay. There's some stuff that can be just for you, but the most important thing is to make sure that you're the one writing your story and that you're not writing it in reaction to what other people are putting out there.
But that's exactly that's a huge part. And you hit something again, a nail right on the head. You got to be the victim. Or I should say you got to be the villain, not the
At
victim,
some
the
point.
villain.
At some
And
point.
the whole point of it is the fact that listen, we all mess up, right? We all mess up. We're human. We have these emotional outbursts. I do it. If anybody follows me on Facebook, you see some of the things that I write. They're so passive aggressive, and it's like I'm trying, and then all of a sudden, like a couple, like a half hour later, I'm like reeling them in. I'm putting them in the trash, hoping nobody really saw them. And but it's accepting that, and learning from that,
Yeah.
because even though if I always felt like this, if I could learn from my mess ups, my emotional outbursts, my anger,
Yeah.
I can do it with other people.
Hmm.
And I think that makes us, I think it puts you back into balance, because we are all, so many of us are so out of balance.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
that's a terrible thing. That's
You
a
know,
terrible.
I think a lot of it's come about, Tim, because of social media, because of the phone in the palm of our hand. 9 times out of 10, we become very self-focused,
I
very
agree.
self-aware in a way that we've become unaware of those around us. Not self-aware of ourselves in like a spiritual way or a higher vibration way, but so self-focused. How many likes did I get? How many people viewed this? How many people commented? Who's giving me a hard time? Like, and we forget about the world that's around us, and it's just such a sad reality to see that
Agreed.
play out. And it's just one of those
Agreed.
things, you just need to be more thoughtful of others. But it's hard for some people to get to kind of get their head out of their phone or out of their arse to really get it, but there's people you're going to hurt in this life, and there's people going to hurt you. And it's funny because I use this a lot in some of my spiritual lectures too. People will say, however you want to see it, God, the goddess, the universe, karma, it's unfair because this happened to me and this happened to me. And but I also like to remind people, karma, the universe, God or goddess, is fair in the fact that it's unfair, because for all that shit that happened to you that maybe shouldn't have, that maybe you got a bum's deal out of the whole thing, there's probably more blessings, maybe even tenfold, of things that probably didn't have to happen to you that were wonderful, or maybe shouldn't have happened to you despite some things you did, but still did. And we have to keep that in mind, that there is this balance in life, and that life is
True.
beautifully fair in the fact that it's unfair.
True. True. And that is something that people, I think we've lost that. And I think the reason why we've lost that is because of, it's not just the breakup of the nuclear family, it's the loss of our storytellers,
Hmm.
the loss of having older, experienced people being able to sit down with somebody younger, listen to what's going on in their lives, and being able to comment on it. Because you
Yeah.
don't get that. You don't get that mentorship anymore. Like, with the nuclear family, I mean, I can't talk about my nuclear family because my family was spread across the country. But in essence, I mean, people who have grown up with grandparents being in the same either house or village or city,
Yeah.
you always had that. You always had uncles. You always had whatever.
Yeah.
And I've always felt that we lack that now. We lack that wisdom. And, for us to actually go down and write all this stuff down falls on deaf ears. But
Mhm.
what you're doing, what you're out there pushing, you're preaching about, I shouldn't say preaching, what you're sharing is something that becomes so intrinsic and so monumental in other people's lives and so many people. And and the other thing is that thoughts are things and our words are vibrational in nature.
Yeah.
So we're able to go and share that with so many other people,
Mhm.
and we don't even know the people that we're influencing. And that to me is a beautiful thing. And me not so much, but you.
Don't sell yourself short, son. You're right, though. I mean, I mean, even this, this interaction right here, like whoever watches it, shares it, whatever, the idea that thoughts have weight, and we put those thoughts into words, we put vibration
Exactly.
out into the world, positive or negative. That's up to us,
Exactly.
and it's about
Exactly.
training your brain to see your reality through your perception. Again, we come back to this, the idea that if you get up on Monday and say, "Oh, it sucks, I hate Mondays, Mondays are the worst," and everything that you see or you experience throughout that day, your brain is going to try to find the negative to prove yourself right, that yeah, this is freaking awful, Mondays suck, this is bad. But if you train your brain to look for the positive things, you could also influence your own reality that way. You just start looking for more positive things in life. Every time there's something negative, you try to find something positive, maybe two things positive. Takes a while, but you can train your brain to look for the better parts and bring balance back.
It's true, because your brain is a computer. That's all it is. And it has no idea of what is reality.
Yeah.
So by telling yourself a certain thing, you have that focal control. By telling
Yeah.
yourself that certain thing, your brain is going to react to it.
Yeah.
And that reaction is going to go and bring out whether you're going to be negative looping, positive looping. If you're, I mean, it's an amazing thing
I
about
did.
being able to go and do effort, being positive.
Yeah.
That just helps.
I did something. I think it was one of my coming at you live night videos not too long ago, and I referenced this in terms of the fact that picture your brain almost like Google, like you're creating your own algorithm.
Right.
Like if you go online here and you start searching big booty Latinas, after a while your computer's just going to start showing them to you. I don't know why. It just seems to keep popping back up. But you've created that algorithm. So if you go out every day and you think negative things, people hate each other, people suck, everyone's going to be fighting, you're going to find that and you're going to continue to look for that because now you've
Yes.
trained your algorithm. So we could do it the other way. It just takes a little bit of effort and time.
But see, this is the way that I was taught mediumship. This is something that a lot of people don't realize, that everybody goes and tries so hard. And it's like they sit there and I when I'm in class sometimes and I'll look around and I'll see my students, just they all look like they have to poop because they're all like, oh, working so hard. But it's not that hard. It's the way, it's creating that algorithm, it's creating that pathway. It's telling yourself, I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to be receptive. I'm going to be able to do X, Y, and Z slowly but surely, with patience and blessings.
Yeah.
And that is so strong. And I've I've tried to teach this to some paranormal investigators. The problem is what we're talking about isn't flashy.
Yeah.
What we're talking about isn't like over the top. You
Right.
know, the problem is like guys like you and I, well, me, you, everybody, the production company is just standing in line for you. But
Yeah, oh yeah,
anyway,
sure. They must. I don't know if maybe they know. They don't know I changed my address because they could show up here. That'd be okay.
that's the problem. Maybe they keep going to our old houses. That's
Yeah,
probably what it
that
is.
must be it. That
But
must be it.
but I mean, I think I always said wisdom never comes in a large in a big bang. It comes in a whisper.
Mm.
And I'm a true believer in that. And I believe that people really need to take that step back. Paranormal investigators, especially.
Yeah.
Stop relying so much on the gear. The gear is great. And when it lights up, even I go, ooh, wow, except for flashlights. I don't like flashlights, but that's just me. But I mean, when things happen, I mean, I'm really impressed. But I'm more interested in the intrinsic, experience of humanity when it comes and it becomes involved with the spiritual.
You know, it was nice just this weekend. So we did the investigation portion for OSR there at Parapsychon, and you get a nice opportunity to talk to the different people as they come through, and maybe show them a little guidance, from what you've learned. Again, none of us are experts in this whole thing, but let's share information. And I've been telling people, this has been like a recent conversation I've been having at various events and lectures, and I just feel it's a very simple thing to remember. You lead the investigation. The equipment doesn't lead you. You can't sit there with some voice box and just start making stories up for everything that you hear that comes through. If you ask a specific question, you have to wait for a specific answer. You don't just make a story out of the next thing that you hear. And it takes time and it takes patience. But we also have to keep in mind there's so many things that are outside the box to people that haven't done this as long as perhaps as we have. There was a woman that I talked to just this past weekend, and I was explaining to her, to the group, I said, keep in mind, even though we're in a prison, you may not just be talking to spirits of people that were prisoners here, passed away here, or worked here. I'm like, could be a loved one, could be a family or friend member, a family member or friend that passed away, and they've been waiting for you to turn that light on and be like, hey, I'm trying to talk to spirits. And now you've done it. So if grandma shows up, don't be surprised. It doesn't mean she was in prison here, but you're trying to communicate. And so they see that. And I think getting people to think outside of the idea of we are limited to this space, this time, and not think that spirit can go across all that. I need 1 second to open my door because Raisin, my cat, is outside crying so much.
Oh my God. Bring Raisin in. I don't know if anybody has ever known who our little Raisin is. Raisin is a little hairless Egyptian kitty that is just loves Dustin. And little Raisin has just been I've been hearing him meowing through my headset. And Raisin is just an adorable little guy. He is just so adorable.
There she comes.
There she is. Look at Raisin. Hi, Raisin.
Like the lights. Look.
Hi, Raisin. You're the true hero here. Look,
she really is.
Oh,
she even got a cameo video request recently. People love the Raisin.
That's what I mean. Look at that. Look at Raisin.
She's crying and crying because I was in here. She could hear me, but she couldn't see me.
Oh, she goes, Daddy, I got to come in. Listen. You know what? Raisin's going to have her own show now.
She would love it.
I think so. Look at those ears. She's adorable. Oh my God. Hey, I got a question. Gene asked, Tim and Dustin, do you meditate? To be honest with you, I can't because my brain isn't built like that. But I do have focused thoughts. That's the difference. I don't truly do meditation in a traditional manner. So what do you meditate, Dust?
Well, I used to. When I was young, single, and free, I actually had a room in my house just for meditation. I had little Zen gardens in there, and I would have like the chimes, and it was just a wonderful place. I really got into it. And I feel like, so many of these things are just different forms of us contacting spirit and becoming one with it. For me, going to church for the longest time, I had a great pastor, really, really enjoyed her sermons. That was a connection for me. Then when she left, it just wasn't the same. Going to the gym, honestly, I know people would be like, no, that doesn't make sense. It totally does. Oh my God. It's ritual. It's focus. And not only is it good for you in a physical way, but emotionally and spiritually, it's very, very good. So in many ways, that's also a form of meditation. And my newest thing, not new in the ways of the world, but new to me, I've always been someone who loves hiking and being out in nature. And I started reading about Japanese forest bathing and the idea you're not in the nip out there running around with your bits out, but the idea of just being out there for ion exchange and for grounding yourself, listening to trees, Tim Shaw. I'm talking about listening to trees. At what point in my life I became this hippie, I do not know. But I'll tell you, I listen to trees. I put my hands on them. I've become a literal tree hugger at this point in my life. All of these things I believe to be form of meditation.
It's 100%. I took classes with the late Tom Brown Jr., the
Really?
American mystic and tracker,
Wow.
and a lot of it was like back to nature and
Yeah.
understanding what nature is and natural awareness and being mindful, and that is. I mean, when I go out for any kind of a hike, I mean, I come back renewed. And as a matter of fact, I want to announce to everybody that my lovely wife Nancy, who had a knee replacement like 11 weeks ago, 10, 11 weeks ago, actually went out for her very first mini hike today. So I was so proud of her that she went out and we got about 20, I'd say about 22 to 30 minutes in, and that was enough, but it was great. And she walks every day. So I'm so proud of her. But Dust, when we start, this question came up to me and this weekend at Parapsychon. And if anybody wants to go to a great event with great people, run by outstanding people, organized beyond your wildest dreams, go to this. But the question was, what do you do with your equipment? And I said to him, what do you mean? What are you talking about? He goes, well, about your dowsing rods and that. Do you have like a ritual? Do you bless them or whatever? And I said, I'm going to tell you what I tell everybody else, and everybody laughs at me. The old spiritualists used to go and take their spirit trumpets and all their paraphernalia for seance and slide it underneath their bed and sleep over it. And they believed that it would attune to your vibration and work better. So yours truly takes his dowsing rods. He will take his voice recorders, because I like a lot. I like to work with audio. And before I go out, or a piece of equipment that I want to use for two-way communication, the flux, and I'll do that and attune it. And I find that it actually helps. Do you do anything like that?
It's funny because I mentioned this in conversation with your wife, and Nan told me that there's also some paranormal rubber doll you keep under the bed. I guess
man's got to have a hobby.
Oh.
You knew you weren't going to embarrass me on that one, Dustin.
No, just teeing you up. Just teeing you up, buddy. Just a softball.
I lived through disco, kiddo. I lived through disco. That's not much that embarrasses me anymore.
By the way, this was no coincidence that today when I posted this on Instagram, and you got to select a song, I chose something from the 70s disco era to help promote the event, because it all ties in. It's a big part of who you are. I love it. In terms of equipment, I'm very much one to, like, when I was on the Ghost Hunter show, we have the big Pelican case, and you see like all the lines of recorders and that thing. All of those are numbered for tracking purposes, and so we knew who took what piece of equipment. I always wanted to use the same one. I use camera number 3, recorder number 3, EMF detector number 3, and I felt that there was a familiarity, as I used to always say, a familiarity between yourself and the equipment becoming an extension of yourself. And Tim, it was very interesting to me what you just relayed, because I never heard that before, but I guess something maybe just intrinsic to me. I've always kept my equipment under the bed, like the old Hack Shack box that I have.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's one of my oldest pieces of equipment. I know there's back and forth on who likes to use it. That's fine. But you could get several of the same thing, several pieces of the same equipment. But I feel like until you develop that familiarity with it, you don't really have that connection. And this particular piece of equipment, I just have always had really good luck with it. And I did a case once in New York. I was there with Alexandra Holzer, and Zaffis was there, and we did Zaffis and I were doing a communication session in this little museum, and my radio.
Oh, that house, the spiritual with the. Yeah, Zaffis was telling me about that. I can't think of the name of it now.
I can't remember the name of it, but the radio started like fluctuating. It was flashing different, and it was giving me names of all different people I've worked with over the years in this field. And then it just blinked off, and I could not get it restarted. Change batteries, would not restart. Zaffis says, "Duster, take it home, put it outside in the sun for 3 days, and then it'll be fine."
Yep.
Damn thing works perfect again, you know. But one night it has a lock on the side, a little gray lock. And one night, you know, I'd come back from investigation, throw it in the red bag, throw it underneath the bed, and I'm sleeping there. And middle of the night, you hear, and I'm thinking I'm just hearing this thing in my sleep because you know I've been using it so often. And it was on. It came on underneath the bed. Lock was off. Radio turned on. And I was just like, okay, there's something special about you. So that gal stays here in the house, and I kind of reserve it for
Excuse me.
special cases that I go on.
Well, Dustin, and we got a few minutes here.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that I went and, for everybody out there that doesn't know that I had a cornea transplant. I lost like 90% of the vision in my right eye, and there was nothing more that they could do with it. And it's a genetic thing. So they did a cornea transplant. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of things that I kind of work with, but I won't say skeptical, but I'm careful about. So I had a spirit box going, and I had the filter box going with it. And all of a sudden and normally you get that, constantly, and you get a garble, and you're like, oh, what did that say? But if you record it later on, of course you're not going to hear it. But all of a sudden it went dead, total dead air for a couple seconds. Because I was thinking about the person who donated this sliver that I have in my eye, this graft, and the name Felix came up, and I was like, okay. And right away, you're a paranormal investigator when you go, you don't even flinch, and you right out of it, you go, Felix, do I know you? And in real time, it went dead air, and it said, in not in garbled terms, or it was a solid one voice, 2 syllables, one voice, transplant. Went dead air, and then went back into it. Nothing after that. I couldn't get it. Nothing. I could not get it to focus in or anything. And my theory now is that as much as I don't like flashlights, it doesn't matter what you use.
Mm-hmm.
If you truly believe in that piece of equipment, you are the antenna, and that equipment is actually working through you rather than you working through the equipment. Exactly. And if that's the case, that's why I got that. And I thought to myself, well, that's validation, kid. That makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
Dustin, we're running out of room. We're running out of time. I'm not going to keep you busy. You know what? I know that I know that your pythons are hungry. You know what I mean? Those pythons are hungry. I have to do that around you every so often because you
just like to show off. That's all.
Listen, who's showing off? VIP party? You're up there to up the ante. All of a sudden, I see the shirt coming up, showing off the abs. I'm going, oh yeah, I think that was good for another $20.
We ended up with $600. That wasn't too bad for a little show.
Hey, $600, $750, and I didn't have to show anything, baby. If I did, it would have went over $5. You know what I mean? But I know that you have a couple things going on, and what I am excited about is you coming to Western New York to Lilydale, and there we go, Paranormal Weekend, and you're going to be up with Brian Kano and the one and only Johnny Zaffis.
That's right.
So I can't wait for that. What else are you doing?
Yeah, so I mean, honored to be at Lilydale. Looking forward to that. We have a return to Fort Mifflin, kind of getting the band back together. Myself, Television's Chris Williams, and the one and only Steve and Tango. So we've got that coming up over in Philadelphia, Fort Mifflin. That's going to be good. We used to do this all the time back in the day, man, and it's kind of cool to do it.
I remember being a road warrior going down the Mifflin a few times. Matter of fact, we did that. We did that pilot that didn't make it, thank God. centered around Mifflin, but Mifflin, I love Mifflin.
Yeah,
Mifflin is a magical place.
It's been a long time. It's a great place, lots of good activity, good people running it. So we're looking forward to getting back there. Miss Chris Williams and I also are doing one of our Rebellious Spirits events over at My Haunted Manor, also in Pennsylvania. And that's a really great place. Happy to be going back there. Yeah, we got quite a bit going on. One final show at the old Bell Mansion in Indiana with our good friend Brian Cano. And yeah, lots of really cool stuff. Kansas City Paracon also coming up. And if anybody's watching out near the Hinsdale House area, we've got one ticket left in my, excuse me, not Hinsdale House, the Come On Brain, Omaha, Malvern Manor.
Malvern Manor.
One ticket left for Malvern Manor Spirit Quest as well. And yeah, I'm just excited to be on the road, to see so many people, and I'm just thankful to be able to do what I do. And it, like you said, Tim, you know, if it's not for the people that come out, spend time with us, share their stories with us, none of this is possible. And I feel like we're growing as a community. I think we're growing spiritually, and I really feel for us to go forward as a people, we need to get back to our spirituality. So in many ways, for us to go forward, we need to kind of cut the tech and take a step backwards. And that's
I agree.
Forward to helping people with.
I agree 100%. Dustin, listen, stay on the air. I want to thank you properly off the air. And
thank you, buddy.
Seriously, you know what? I just love the fact that I forget what we were talking about one day. I think I called you, or I forget, whatever it was. And just to aggravate you, because I like calling you or texting you when I know that you're in line going for Dunkin' Donuts. Because I'm psychic. I'm psychic. I know you. I know you. I know when you're getting that sweet tooth, you know. And you went and you're like, well, I'll come. You know, whenever you're ready, I'll come on the show. I'm going. I got an opening Tuesday. Yeah, I'm in. I'm going. So I was like, oh my god. So I can't thank you enough for that. You know,
I love being here in the Black Cat Lounge, my friend.
And seriously, thank you for being so inspirational. And you're inspirational to me.
Thanks.
Man. And after that, I'm going to take all the flowery language and say, you're still a putz, no matter what. I know the true Dustin Pari. You're a putz like the rest of us, and I love it. I love it. I love it. And you're a lunker, baby, and flex those pythons every day. Tomorrow I go back to the gym, baby. I gotta flex them, because I go and I see this guy, I look at and I go, look at him. Look at him. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. He got look at his arms. He got stung by bees. That's why they're so big. Anyway,
it's because they eat all these marshmallows.
Oh, I hate you for being able to eat all those marshmallows. We'll talk about that off the air. Thank you, Dust. I'll be right back.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Tim.
Guys, you know what? Dustin is one of my best friends in this field. I always tell everybody that. I love him to death. We got a little history behind us, and if you guys want to really know the true Dustin Pari, seriously, go and see him at an event, see one of his talks, and afterwards walk up to him and say hi. Because he'll give you a hug, big smile, and I guarantee no matter how bad of a day that you had, he'll make it be better. Next week, here, Tuesday nights, 8:00, where the elite meet next to Dumpster Transfer Station. You're listening to the Black Cat Lounge. And ciao, babies. See you next week. Bye-bye.